Hello, true duelists. YGeoStrats here in front of an ever-falling green screen. Welcome to Why Not Play, a series where I talk about why I play and why you should play various decks. This week I'm talking about Adamancipator, the second of two decks in my own personal Yu-Gi-Oh! Renaissance that got me back into the game and putting out videos on this channel. So let's get into it. Let's hear why you should be playing Block Dragonless Rocks. Adamancipator is a deceptively good deck. I say that because it relies on your tuners excavating a random level 4 or lower non-tuner rock monster to really go off, so there's always an element of chance with every turn. It's entirely possible you might miss 3 excavations in a row and lose, or maybe you'll analyzer into Guardian and go full combo. There's only one way to find out. Because of that element of luck, it might seem a little underwhelming on paper, but as anyone who played in 2020 can tell you, this shit is cracked. To make sure you hit off the tuners, just play enough rocks, forehead. Doi. Not that hard to do. It's also funny because even though rock is a very underrepresented type in Yu-Gi-Oh!, there is just enough solid and generic rock support for this deck to be good. The 3 tuners all have an effect to special summon themselves under various conditions. 2 of the gems or eggs, or however you want to refer to them as, are solid as well, giving a free draw or stacking a card from the grave or hand back on top of the deck. Why you'd put a card from your hand on top of your deck? Shut up. The Kokai Miro are all solid, with Guardian being a free hand trap insulation or an extra negate on the end board, and Supplier being easy extension and a searcher for that ever-precious Guardian are phenomenal. Hell, if you'd like, you could also play Overload, Sandman, or Wall, which are all just phenomenal names, to prevent summons, spells, or traps respectively. Doki Doki is a great way to get monsters from the deck, and paired with the Supplier Search can get an easy analyzer for tuner access. The other solid rocks include Revival Golem, who pairs well with Foolish Burial and Miracle Rupture, which, fun fact, is Rock Foolish Burial, and things like Tackle Crusader for disruption or Xenoguitar for gnarly recovery of that tuner of your choice. Oh, that was fucking cringe. And the extra deck rocks are solid too. Raptite can make for the easiest extender in the world, and with Grave set up, you don't just synchro away with it, it makes for a DD Crow on the opponent's turn. Leonite can add an Adamancipator card from deck to hand, including the in-theme monster Reborn, which also can stack the deck to enable guaranteed hits off your digging, and Dragite is both a free spell and trap negation, and can bounce up to 5 cards to clear the field of problems. Spell, trap, whatever. Sure, it targets, but it clears 5 cards. Are you kidding me? So yeah, the monsters and archetype in general is great. Who would have thought that to be the case when talking about a previous meta contender? In its prime, the deck was notorious for abusing Block Dragon to make it pretty much hand trap proof. And while the loss of Block Dragon does still hurt, it's still a very resilient deck. As long as you can stick one rock, or especially one of the tuners, you'll be able to make some plays, and sometimes baiting enough negates to just end on a Dragite and then using Dragite to bounce some number of cards can be enough to win the duel. I picked this deck up because it's like my hypothetical dream deck. I love synchro decks, I love dragon boss monsters, I love a flexible deck and engine that can adapt to cater to different metas, and I love a deck that can combo for 19 hours, or as my friend described it, allows me to jerk off for 5 minutes and win the game. And boy does the deck do all of that. This is the perfect deck for a player that loves a resilient combo deck with changing combo trees and loves every bit of gambling. Sure, any level 4 rock for the most part is all you'll need, but sometimes you hit that Doki Doki that can change your plays. Or maybe you opened Parallel Exceed and get to really go off. Or maybe you opened 2 hand traps, a Doki, and 2 Reborns, and you've already lost. Regardless, the anticipation when excavating cards and you've revealed 4 with no hits, then you get to flip over the 5th to see if it's a rock, that is some high octane shit right there. The tension between you and your opponent as you reveal that 5th card. It's an intimate moment shared only amongst the truest of duelists. The deck is great for a rogue level of play. People might not expect it, and as such you can do well with it at events. Farfa did this recently enough by topping a remote duel event with the deck. Also, with the Megaton reprints, it's significantly cheaper to play. even if it means you'll be playing with the peasant rare researchers. Which, just as a reminder, super rare researchers do not actually special summon the monsters excavated, you just get to see them and then put them back on the bottom of the deck. I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but it's Yu-Gi-Oh! And it is our obligation as players to gatekeep each other over card rarity. That's just the way the system works. Here is my current deck list. Current being relative. I haven't really played since pre-Burst of Destiny, if we're being honest, so I've yet to try the small world chains you might be familiar with from Farva's deck list. At one point I was trying Perform a Chat Tricker since it's almost always live, and honestly the Adharas are probably overdue to be taken out at this point, especially since they've always conflicted with Analyzer a bit, but I still find they're good for an easy Hulk when you don't open one of the minors.
That's ERS for any of you Witchcrafter fans in the audience.
The deck is shockingly consistent for a chance-based deck. It's got strong end boards, it's cheap to pick up in paper, and it's a fun deck with access to synchros, exceeds, and link plays, meaning you can really adapt it to whatever your preferences are. If you were looking for a solid combo deck to pick up, I can't recommend this enough. It's really got me back into the Yu-Gi-Oh! Over the last year, and has become one of my top ever personal favorite decks, regardless of how it plays without Block Dragon, and even admittedly without having played it for a little while. It's still something I always attempted to go back to. I've just wasted a lot of money. Now, that being said, this deck fucking sucks to play and play against on Dueling Book, so keep that in mind. My apologies go out to Mark and Jake for making them sit through all my test duels before I picked it up in person. That's some time we're not ever getting back, boys. And I'd say I'm sorry, but you should have just beaten me. You should have just beaten me turn one and made me hate the deck immediately. Come on, what are you doing? That is that for this as to why I think that you should play Adamancipator. Thanks for watching. Leave a comment and a like if you enjoyed. Konami, please, for the love of God, stop reprinting Blue Eyes. I know this is out of left field, but
I am losing my fucking mind.
And as always, subscribe to YGO Strats so that you too can become a true duelist.